this video, I'm going to talk to you about squares and square roots with relation to indices. So let's have a look. I'm just going to throw it out there. Instead of using a whole number as a power, I'm going to put a fraction. So I'm going to use, 2. So 2 to the power 1/2. So our base is 2, power is half, and I'm going to use the fourth law, which is raising to a further power, raising a power to a further power, which says I multiply the powers together. So let's do it. 1/2 multiplied by 2 becomes 2 to the power 2 over 2. If we simplify that, we're left with 2 to the power 1, which is just 2. Let's have a look at another one. Let's have a look at 4 to the power 1/2. And let's raise that to a power 2. Okay, 2 to the power 1/2, I'm going to use this multiplication law. 2 to the power 1/2 multiplied to the power 2 is 4 to the power 2 over 2, which is 4 to the power 1, which is just 4. All right, let's see how else we can write 4. 4 can be written as 2 squared. 2 squared to the power 1/2 to the power 1/2, which we know gives us 4 because this is equivalent as the one above. But let's have a look at what to the power 1/2 is actually done. This has actually created 2, which is actually the square root of 4. We can say that writing something to the power 1/2 is the equivalent of the square root. And that brings me to say that anything with a power of 1/2 is equivalent to the square root of that number. Now, this is a very good law to use. Of course, we don't just deal with halves. We deal with other powers as well. I'm going to introduce to the power 1/3 as well. A to the power 1/3 is equivalent to the cube root. And you may or may not have come across a cube root before. So we might look at some cube numbers later on. Okay, so let's have a look at the a to the power 1/2 equals the square root. Let's rewrite 16 to the power 1/2. Well, following this law over here, we know anything to the power 1/2 is the square root of that base. So we can say that's equivalent to the square root of 16. And when we square root 16, we get 4. Of course, we're not dealing with negative positives here. We're just dealing with whole numbers at this stage. So the square root of 16 in this case is 4. Let's have a look at 25 to the power 1/2. 25 to the power 1/2 is equivalent, according to this rule, as the square root of 25, which is plus or minus 5, in this case 5, because we're just dealing with the positives. Now let's have a look at what happens when we put something to the power 1/3. When we put something to the power 1/3, it's a cube root. So let's have a look at some cube numbers. Let's just work through some patterns. Cubing means multiplied by itself and itself again. So 1 cubed is 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. Now, if I'm going to work back, that would mean taking the cube root of that number. So the cube root of 1 is 1. The cube root of 8 is 2, and the cube root of 27 is 3. So that's what we mean by the cube root. So let's have a look at 8 to the power 1/3. That means I'm going to take the cube root of 8. Simply by following this rule, I've written it as a cube root. If in doubt, you can find the cube root button on your calculator. But because we're dealing with a really easy cube number, we know the answer is 2. Alright, so I've just shuffled those rules along a bit, but I can see that it's slightly off the screen. That's actually the cube root of a there, and that's just the square root of a. Alright, let's evaluate 16p squared. So, I'm going to now work out the most simplest form for that, which means I'm going to have to use this rule over here, which says the square root of a is equivalent to a to the power 1/2. So all of this can be put to the power 1/2, and of course each component, each part of the expression can be put to the power 1/2. So, and that comes from raising a power to another power. So I'm going to put 16 to the power 1/2 and p squared to the power 1/2. It's all multiplying together, so I guess there's a multiply sign there. Well, 16 to the power 1/2 is the same as the square root of 16. I didn't need to write that. I could have just evaluated it straight from there. So that's 4. And then using this, I need to raise the power to a further power. 2 to the power a half, or 2 times a half, is 2 over 2, which is p to the power 1. So my answer is just 4p. Let's have a look at this one. Well, let's have a look. 8 cube root is easy. We can work that through because we know 8's a cube number, so that's going to evaluate to be 2. But what about x to the power 6 to the power 1/3? Let's put everything to the power 1/3. So we're going to do 8 to the power 1/3 multiplied by x to the power 6 to the power 1/3. Remembering the cube root means to the power 1/3. 8 to the power 1/3 is 2, which we talked about. And then 6 multiplied by 1/3 is 6 over 3. Let's just write that because some of you are visual learners, which can be evaluated as 2. So we're left with 2x squared. Might do some more underneath. Hold on. So I'm going to evaluate this. So let's have a look. We can square root the 36 gives us 6. And then we know that the square root is the same as to the power a half. So using the raising a power of a power law, t to the 4 to the power a half is actually t to the power 4 over 2, which is just 2. So I'm left with 6t squared as my most simplified answer. Over here, the cube root, well, we don't have any numerals there, no actual coefficients there. We've just got pronumerals. So I'm going to put this to the power 1/3 because it's a cube root. So b cubed to the power 1/3 is the equivalent of b to the power 3 over 3, which is b to the power 1, leaving us with just b.